Hey everybody, this is my Brackish tank right now, but this is going to be another around the world update. I just figured I would start with my Brackish tank here since it's one I haven't done much video of in quite a while. And honestly, the only reason was just stupid laziness and procrastination. I had a bunch of algae growing on the glass, and that's all there really was. That's all I did was scrape the glass and do a water change. The tank's always been crystal clear, and the water's fine, the fish are fine. I just never got around to scraping that algae off. So now that it is gone, you can actually see in there, and everything is looking good. So I do plan on doing some video of this here in the near future. I've already been shooting some short videos just of the fish. I will be doing some videos talking more specifics about tank conditions, water chemistry, the physiology of the animals that live in this tank, and so on and so forth. So expect me to take an interest in the Brackish tank, and my Brackish tank playlist should be starting to fill up here soon. And that's really all I've got going on with this tank. No changes or anything. I've just, sort of gotten it looking pretty again, and now that it looks pretty, I've been enjoying looking at it. I swear they know when the camera comes out. I've got several bumblebee gobies in this tank, and when I'm sitting here by myself, they swim around the tank like bumblebees. I mean, it's just, you see them all over the place, and then I stand up to do a video and everybody goes away. Now I sort of expect that with Butterbean, my puffer. He's a pretty shy fish, and I know he knows what the camera is. He's a smart fish, so he usually goes away when he sees the camera come out. But the other ones, they're just live bears. I got a rainbow fish in there, and then the other ones are just swordtails and a molly. So not a whole lot of brains going on there. But the puffer and the gobies are actually pretty smart fish, and I swear they know when the camera comes out. So that's a good look at that tank while we move around the room. This is my Nano native tank. It too needs a good clean in and water change. That is actually cyanobacteria growing in there and not algae. That's what all that green is. This is a tank that I'm sort of on the fence with whether I'm even going to keep it over the winter or not, and I will get to why in a minute. A lot of this update is not going to be actual what's going on, but a lot more of speculation of what's going to need to be going on here real soon. So let's move right along. This is my snail tank, and I recently redid this one. I don't know if you've ever watched any of my other videos or not, but my snail tank was all filled with these little Gourami shrimp, and they are a native freshwater shrimp to the streams around here, and I'd put some rocks from the stream in there thinking I was doing a good thing, and of course I put these little invasive shrimp in there, and I also got planaria in this tank from those same rocks, and I shot a video about planaria on this tank as well. And I stripped it down, I cleaned it out, I started the whole thing over, and now it looks fantastic. I even put some live plants in there for them. Those are eggshells if you're wondering, and that is because I have very soft water, and I need these snail shells to have some hardness to them because their purpose is to feed my puffer. And he needs to have his tooth plates worn down so that they don't overgrow. They grow continuously, so he needs to eat shellfish and stuff like that to keep his tooth plates from overgrowing. So that's what the eggs are for, to put a little bit of calcium in the water, and then that way the shrimp or the snails in there get their shells a little bit harder, and then when my puffer eats them, everything is good. This is probably a little bit out of order, but I'm going to show you these guys right now. These are green tiger barbs, and they're a little bit funny looking because they've still got the markings from the tiger barb. You can see where the lines would be on them, and these are about to become part of a much larger school that we will get to in a moment, since we've had a look at that already. This is my native tank. It's a 40 breeder. Still on the fence about what I want to do with this, but one way or another it's got to come down. It's got to come down soon. We're already into November, and I can't put these fish back in the water once it's frozen. So I need to get them out there, within the next few weeks. So I'll probably shoot a little more video of this tank specifically, just to showcase it a little more, show you how aggressive these guys are when they feed, that sort of thing. These are just sunfish and some minnows and things like that from around the local streams and reservoir. So again, I'll do some videos specifically on that before I break it down, just to kind of wrap it up. Had fun with that over the summer. This is still just a tank where I'm housing a great big eclipse catfish. More on him in a moment. This tank is my fairly new open top 20 long, and I have a ton of fish in this tank. Not even sure how many. I actually have over 35. I've got 22 glow light tetras. I have 5 or 6 Raspora hets. I've got 2 Galaxy Rasporas. I've got 2 Angelfish, a T-bar cichlid. I've got a white tip long finned bristlenose pleco, and I've got 4 chocolate zebra plecos in this tank. So this is a crowded little tank, and I've also got 2 bumblebee horned nearite snails. There's actually one of them right there. Can't get much of a look at him, but that is one of them. So quite a lot going on in this tank. Other than that, you know, more on that later. Nothing specific, plans for the future, except what may happen with this tank. Now this is my African tank. Everybody that watches my channel is familiar with this tank. It's one of my favorites. However, I've recently lost one of my female Congos, and actually, if you can see that one right there, you see the marks on her side. The one that was dead had worse marks than that on them, and where they're coming from is my Tenopoma. Really getting too big for this tank. There's other fairly large fish in here. You can see my catfish here. If you look in the back, I got a snakeskin gourami that takes up a lot of tank. So everybody in this tank is really outgrowing it really quickly, and I really need to do something with it. So what I think I'm going to do is not a monster tank in the sense that it's going to have monster fish, but a nice big tank, at least 90 gallons, something like that. And I'm going to move all these fish, and we're going to do something cool with that. More on that later. Again, we just get into speculation on that. The only thing I can say I'm going to do with that is I am going to include that Eclipse catfish for a while at least, because that's a really cool catfish, and if I've got a big tank I can put that in, I'll go ahead and do that. And I would also like to increase my school of Congo tetras and get maybe a dozen or 15 Congo tetras swimming in a school. I think that would look fantastic in a tank. And then of course my catfish, my Tenopoma, my snakeskin gourami would all go over into that big tank. So if that leaves this 40-gallon open and empty, I may simply transfer the contents of this tank. That was one of my chocolate zebra plecos on the bottom, and over there in the back corner is that T-bar cichlid. I'll do some more video on him later too. Really cool fish. But I may just transfer all those fish into this 40 because that T-bar is going to outgrow that 20 at some point anyway. So again, a lot of speculation going on here, but I'm really getting into a pinch where I really need to start doing something with my tanks. This tank is that Chinese algae eater right there on the front. Don't really like him. That's another one that, now that I've had one, I would not buy another. But boy, it keeps the tank clean. So there is where the other green tiger barbs are going to go. I've got 3 platinum green ones you can see right there, and then so far I have 4 green tiger barbs, but these are fully green. There's no weird markings from the tiger striping or anything like that. So when I put those other 7 in with this school, that's going to be an odd looking school, but I'm going to have 14 green tiger barbs total, 3 of them being the platinum green. And I also think I have about 15 or so of these Serpé tetras. And I'm going to start doing stuff with the plants and rearranging the rocks. And the feel and look of this tank is kind of in the process of changing. I'm not real happy with the way this tank looks right now. It's kind of cool, but it really looks disheveled to me. It just doesn't look right. I put this pennywort up front for a reason. Not really digging the effect I got from it. I don't really like it that much. It's a little too spindly and scrawny looking, so that's probably going to come out. Again, speculation, don't know what's going to happen exactly, but once again, I always tell everybody just go ahead and subscribe. I do a lot of videos, I do a lot of updates. Things change fast around here and you got to keep up. So this tank is going to be morphing and changing over the next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. But we clearly can see that it's going to have a lot of red and green going on in there. So I'll finish up with my more or less beloved and stable Gourami tank. Everybody always just kind of hangs out in this one. If I walk up to the glass though, they'll think it's feeding time and my Gouramis will get a lot more active. But this and my African tank are probably my 2 favorite. This probably being my favorite. I honestly have to say I probably spend more time sitting in front of my Gouramis than any other tank. I just absolutely love them. And I love the tank, I love the way it looks. That red tiger lotus with the wood tones and then the different colors on the Gouramis is just one of my favorite tanks. I really love it. And then the bottom is just full of loaches, and of course everybody's just kind of laying low and hanging out right now, which is one of the reasons I like this tank. It's a very chilled out tank. It's very much my personality, so I don't like hectic, frantic tanks and constant motion and darting around. See, now they can see I'm up and walking around. They're kind of taking an interest in what I'm doing. They're probably not sure because I'm not holding the food, but I am walking around, so they're going to come over to see what's going on anyway. So no real updates on this. I just like showing it off, and I'm sure people like looking at it because it's a really gorgeous tank and they're really cool fish. I've shot some other videos recently where I've talked about my striped Raphael, and I've talked about where he parks himself during the day, but now you can see him. That's where he sits mostly. He actually comes up from the bottom, goes a little further up than he is now, and then he sort of just relaxes and he lets his fins sort of act like barbs and prevent him from falling backwards down through the leaves, and he just sits there and he parks and he's just lying there asleep. When I throw food in the tank, if he wants, he'll get up and he'll swim around. So I've really come to a nice balance with him where he feels comfortable and secure enough to hang out in places where I can see him, but he's not uncomfortable. He's not exposed or overly stressed or anything like that. I always make it a point. The animals come first. I always try to tell people that. I know you like to look at your animals and so on and so forth, but your animal comes first. If it's an animal that likes to hide in caves, give it a cave to hide in. So he's certainly got plenty of places to go. He's not there because he has no other place to hide. He's there because he feels comfortable being there. This tank is dimly lit enough. There's enough plant cover, so on and so forth. So I've come to a nice balance with him. I'm really happy. Really cool fish. And lastly is my rock solid stable 29-gallon miscellaneous tank. It's just got my pair of angelfish in there and some blue glow tetras. I've got a bunch of loaches on the bottom. I haven't done any video of this tank in a while either. I'll probably shoot some video of this one here soon. I know I say that all the time. I got so many videos I've promised and I've lined up to shoot. But they are there and they are lined up, and I do actually have the intention of shooting them. So again, subscribe, and you never know, I should go in bursts and fits, and you know, I might do 15 videos in a week and then I might do none for a week. So subscribe, you won't miss any. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm glad you watched. And I'll see you real soon.